For those of you that don't know who Braze is, we are a customer engagement platform. We help brands connect with their consumers in a really personal, relevant, and timely way. We help marketers create amazing campaigns and deliver that on channels such as email, SMS, in-app, push, and we're also doing over-the-top technology called OTT, so we really are channel agnostic. I'm thrilled to be here with Tressie Lieberman, who is the VP of Marketing, Digital Marketing and Off-Premise at Chipotle. And I'd love to have her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her background.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Sorry for the people who are hearing me again. So I lead a few parts of the business at Chipotle. One is driving our off-premise business, which is all things delivery and catering and thinking about how we drive digital growth. And then I lead community, which is Chipotle Rewards, our CRM program, and all things social, Web3, influencers. So thinking about how we drive culture and get people talking about and connecting with Chipotle in new ways.
You have some big role to fill, and you've been doing an amazing job, and I am a big, big fan. Most recently, and I know a lot of these questions were already asked earlier in the panel, but I think I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit. Most recently, you rolled out your newest steak item nationwide on the metaverse. Tell me a little bit about your journey and with Web3 and the metaverse, and how you were able to launch such creative campaigns.
Yeah, and hopefully this will help people who are thinking about starting on that journey, because it feels like a lot of time has passed, but it's only been a year since Chipotle has really been leaning into Web3. So it began by listening. I think I mentioned this earlier, but everything we do starts with understanding our consumer and thinking about how we can provide value to them. So we didn't just want to show up and be buzzy and be the first brand to launch an NFT or the first brand on the metaverse. We wanted to do it right. And we started looking at Roblox as a place where people were talking about Chipotle already. So they were using Chipotle in their avatar name. They were wearing, their own avatar inventory filled with things that had Chipotle on them that we didn't create. And then, they were really obsessed with the brand, using Chipotle in their avatar name. So we leaned into the platform and thought about how we could show up there in the right way, because I think that's a really important part of Web3 and marketing in general, is how do you be authentic to the community. And I think it's almost more important in the metaverse than anywhere, because this is a very tight community, and you can either be accepted or rejected in a lot of ways, so we wanted to do it right. So we found an opportunity with our burrito promotion, which is something Chipotle's done for over 20 years, where we give away free Chipotle on Halloween, or our discounted Chipotle on Halloween. And as the pandemic, we traditionally were driving people into the restaurant, but we wanted to make this a digital experience. And we're like, how can we do it in a cool way that's not just a digital promo code? We could do it in the metaverse. And we could make the burrito experience of going in restaurant in a costume way cooler in the metaverse than you could in real life. So we created this world called Burrito Maze, where you could go to Chipotle, put on a really cool costume for your avatar that was all inspired by social media, actually, and what our fans love about the brand. And then you could go into Chipotle, get a coupon for getting Chipotle in real life. So you get a coupon code where you could then get it delivered to your house while you're playing the game. But also go out into a maze, learn about real ingredients, claim virtual items in the center of the maze that you could then take with you throughout your Roblox experience. So thought through every part of that, and then we were blown away. We had 8 million gameplays. We had people spending 10 minutes with the experience, and that's when we knew, okay, this is a place that we should really lean in. Which led us to creating our permanent world called the Burrito Builder. And nothing is permanent, but I would say our world right now, which is a Burrito Builder. That was inspired by an insight that people love to work in the metaverse. And we're like, let's teach people how to roll burritos. And so in this experience, you're actually playing the role of an employee. So you get to pick your uniform, and then you have customers come in to the experience, and you roll burritos as fast as you can. That was built to earn burrito bucks. So one of the big insights there is we wanted to give people a virtual currency they could trade in for Chipotle items. So you could upgrade your uniform. You could actually trade it in for a free burrito if you're one of the first people into the game. And then you could go out into this world and do deliveries of Chipotle. And one of the cool things about that is when we opened the game experience on National Burrito Day in April of this year, we had 20,000 people waiting to get in.
Wow.
When you work in the restaurant industry, like you always talk about how do I create a line out the door? Like that's the old nomenclature of you got to get people in the restaurant. Like we had 20,000 people waiting to get in to play this experience and get their entree code. And it's been an amazing experience. So we built on that with garlic guajillo steak. We launched a new item with the grill simulator in September where you could actually see our real cooking techniques around how we make our steak in the restaurant, how we season it. We did a virtual tasting. And just a really cool way. When you think about a brand like Chipotle, we're all about real. We could show people real in a virtual world and show what the brand is all about in a way that's really engaging. So we've been at it about a year. We've had 21 million gameplays, and
Amazing.
we continue to innovate and build on it and learn from the community to think about, how do we shape the future of experience in Chipotle when you don't have the guardrails of a physical experience and you can actually do things that are very cool and unexpected.
Okay, I have to say, though, you mentioned yesterday when we were meeting, what a brilliant idea with the burrito grill builder and sharing that with your employees and making that part of your employee experience, too. I think that is just so brilliant to not only work with your consumers, but also your family of employees.
Yes, and our head chef has an avatar in the experience now, so that was very exciting for him too. Like, he has this persona that lives in Roblox, and I think, it's a way to show the realness of the brand again in this virtual way.
I love it. Well, another big trend is cryptocurrency. How were you able to capitalize on what was going on in the crypto market?
Yeah.
And you alluded to that a little earlier with Buy the Dip campaign.
Sure. Yeah, when we approach anything, we start with looking at the consumer and where's the consumer spending their time, what are they excited about, and it doesn't need to be en masse, right? Like it could be these niche communities who are really passionate and excited about something. So we're looking to see where the consumer is. The second thing we do is we think about how we could provide value to that consumer in a way that is, really interesting and unexpected. And then we look at culture. And we think about what's bubbling up in culture, what's going to be trending. And when we can pull ideas together that hit on all of those things, culture, consumer, and Chipotle, like that is when we really see things take off. So early on, we saw crypto kind of blowing up, and we wait for the right moment to talk about it. Is it too soon? We don't want to be too late. So we waited for the right moment where we launched a campaign around burritos and Bitcoin. And we played into this insight that we forgot our password to our crypto account, and you could help guess it. And when you guess it, you could win free crypto or free Chipotle. And that blew up. It was like over 1 billion PR impressions, everybody talking about it. Then we actually worked with Flexa, and the team brought in the ability to pay with crypto in our restaurants. So we knew there was a signal and the passion for Bitcoin, so we integrated that in as a payment opportunity using our gift card program. And then we built on it again with Buy the Dip, where we expanded beyond Bitcoin, and we offered the ability to win a variety of different cryptos. But in that case, we also were able to drive rewards enrollment. So as part of playing this game for Buy the Dip, where you would hit the button at the right time and be able to get your reward, we had people join our rewards program, so we're able to build our community there. And again, that was a week-long program. We had 1 million people play the game, and so a lot of passion that we're seeing for the space. So there's the big events. There's also just a lot of nurturing in the community, and I think that's really important. So the team is constantly engaging with the influencers and the Chipotle fans that are talking about anything crypto related, Web3 related, and showing that we get them and that we're creating that connection. So we'll do things like drop free guac to the community. The community actually helped us secure our ETH, which was really cool. And we just have a constant dialogue. We did things like we launched a proof of stake campaign when Ethereum launched their move to stake. So we're constantly have our ear to the ground, and we're listening, and we're doing big things, but we're also doing lightweight things to really lean into the space and ideally just learn so we can keep getting better.
I love that. Absolutely, learning all along. And I love the fact that you can buy a burrito off your profits of crypto. So I am a big fan of that. I also love the way you were able to blend the, both the best of both worlds with your physical and digital assets and just experience. How were we able to do that so successfully?
We're a restaurant brand, right? You can't actually eat Chipotle in the metaverse. Maybe someday. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So we're always thinking about creating an experience where, hopefully you're driving your craveability and you're wanting to order Chipotle, and then you can get it delivered to you in real life, or maybe you want to go to the restaurant because you're inspired by the experience. And we've launched a lot of our metaverse activations on big tentpole days for Chipotle. We call them Chipotle days, which are kind of our national holidays, like burrito for Halloween or National Burrito Day, and we've given away codes for discounted Chipotle, and what we've been able to see is the redemption of those codes, right, and in the real world. And like when we did burrito, it was our largest digital sales day of all time at the time, by building the hype, getting the codes out there, able to track the redemption. So we look at the virtual world of how can we make Chipotle even cooler? Like what can you do with no constraints in a world where you aren't tied down to the physical location? But then how does that drive you to this digital experience of ordering or the in-restaurant experience to be able to keep that flywheel going?
That's amazing. I need to experience that myself, so I will tell you a little bit about it when I do. But when it comes to marketing innovation, and as you mentioned, keeping up with the current trends, what is your overall philosophy, as you approach, like, what's next?
Sure.
You talked a little bit about it yesterday.
Yeah, I think I have this phrase that we use, if you never do, you never know. And I think it's really easy to sit on the sidelines and watch what everybody else is doing. But the best way to get better is to actually jump in and experiment and get feedback and keep getting better. I'll give an example. Like Chipotle was the first restaurant brand on TikTok. We were very early on TikTok in 2019. And it still surprised me, like years later, brands were like, I'm not sure about TikTok. But at that point, we had learned a tremendous amount. We learned how to move fast. We learned how to create content that would break through. And now I look back on that and think, well, I'm so happy that we were an early adopter so that we could just get smarter. And that's kind of the history of my career is trying to experimentation, right? And is it safe to try? Is it something that you can do that you can then use as a seed to learn and improve and evolve? And I think it's a huge competitive advantage when you can do that because you have the knowledge. You're not reading about the knowledge or hearing about the knowledge, you're feeling it, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah, you really experience it. And I like the way you summarized it yesterday. You said, you really look at what's good for the customer, what's good for Chipotle, and what's good for the culture. So, and making sure that you stay unique to your brand. So I would love to hear a little bit about an example of what is good for the consumer. And I think you've already shared that already, but if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the consumer, right? So we're always thinking about within this mass community, because we do have a mass community, like how do we make each person feel known and each person feel valued? I mean, I think that the best marketing is when you see something and you go, oh, they get me, right? And then when I feel seen, right? Those three words are kind of living in my mind. I feel seen. If you feel seen by a brand, you share that because it's relevant to you, and that's what helps it become mass. So in everything we do, we're looking for that outcome for our individual community to feel seen. I'll give maybe a non-Web3 example.
Yeah, that would be great.
I've done a lot of the Web3, but like recently we launched a water cup candle. And you don't have to raise your hand and admit, but many people go into Chipotle to get the water cup and they sneak lemonade out of the fountain. It's a very well-known thing with people in our community. So instead of ignoring that, we're like, let's lean into it and show people that we get them. And so we launched this candle called the water, in quotes, water cup candle. Beautiful physical candle. It looks like the cup in our restaurant, exactly, but ceramic. And it smells like lemonade, and it's yellow. And so we did a huge launch around that, just kind of fueling the passion with our super fans, and everything we do is about supercharging the super fans. And when we did that, I mean, again, it's just billions of PR impressions, sold out in 4 minutes. so much love of something that could seem small, but with enough people saying, I feel seen, that's me, and that's hilarious, and I'm going to now tell my friend, you talk about it. What we did when the corn kid, does anybody know the corn kid on TikTok? So,
oh yes, I love the corn kid.
Corn kid is awesome, and I will say, like, our team knows how to move really fast. It's a muscle that we built over the last few years, and when we saw the corn kid, we were like, oh my gosh, we have to work with him. And there's a million trends that we do not jump into, and that's like, I don't know, the number one rule of bad marketing is just don't jump on the trend if it's not going to feel like super unique to your brand and your community. But we saw the corn kid, the team's like, we have to find this kid. From the time they had the idea to it being live on TikTok, it was 24 hours that they had found the corn kid, pulled him into our restaurant, had him go through the line, placing his order. He passed on every ingredient aside from corn. And at the end, it reveals that it's a corn kid. He says, it's corn. And it's 120 million views of this piece of content. That's wild to me. I'm like, 120 million views that we didn't pay for because we did something that was right for the community, moving fast, tied to culture. And that's the lens we use for everything, whether it's, traditional marketing or, really where we can move the needle with social, Web3. It's about making people feel seen.
I love that. That is the fact that you are listening. Speaking of listening, what are some of the resources and tools that you have in place today that allows you to be so nimble and be able to, not only react, but be proactive in what's going on?
I think the biggest tool is the passion of the team. And the number one thing that I personally hire for is curiosity. Like Web3 is an example. If you're not curious, you're not in this field because you're learning and you have to be an avid learner to be successful. And so we have a team that's very curious. We've branded ourselves the Culture Hunters, and that's not my team. That's like the organization pulling together every morning. We have a daily stand-up meeting where we are talking about what's going on in the world, what's happening with our competitors, what's happening with the brand and our consumers. So there's like a real-time touch point, but a constant stream of ideation on like our Slack where we're going back and forth on ideas and thinking about what's the right one. We've got our bank of ideas too that are ready for when the consumer is ready. But we do traditional listening, right? We have social tools where we're mining for conversation. But I have to say, I just like the old-fashioned, mining for little nuggets. I go on Twitter all the time and just search whatever I'm interested in. Not just Chipotle, but Chipotle delivery, Chipotle Roblox, Chipotle Bitcoin. What are people talking about? And it might not be mass, right? This is not a focus group, but it's looking for tiny little insights that can lead to really big ideas. So we're on this constant quest to understand the unique insights about our consumers and our brand, because that's the superpower that creates that conversation. And my whole career, I've really believed that consumers talking about your brand is way better than you talking about your brand. So a very big focus on just getting people talking.
I love it. Curiosity. You also mentioned yesterday that just trying. I think everybody was fearful of metaverse, but you can talk a little bit about just your mindset of when you decided to go in that direction.
Yeah. Well, if enough time passes where I'm not scared about something, I know things are going terribly. I think as a marketer today, the best ideas are you're going to hold your breath a little bit. Go, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see. Yeah. And that's what makes it fun too. Makes being in marketing such an amazing
role.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So you have to definitely lean in there.
Continue to try. Okay, I've got, I think, one or two more questions, and then we're going to open it up to the audience. You've done an amazing job with being wildly successful. You shared some stats. It's really impressive with Web3 and Metaverse, and just in general, your overall approach and philosophy. As you're thinking about 2023, how are you going to elevate that customer experience and continue to do, or what are some of the things that are top of mind for you as you're going into 2023?
I mean, I think that's how we're driven. You know, marketing it's a team sport, and our team wants to win.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not about winning against the competition. It's just about doing that next thing that raises the bar, and that we feel is so unique to our brand. And it's what fuels us. It's what excites us. And we're in that constant loop of learning, as I mentioned. So when I think about the future, it's going to be continuing to delight our guests, our employees, making people feel seen. It's making our super fans want to evangelize us in even bigger ways, and not doing what we've done before. You know, we're always taking learnings from the past thing that we've done, but we're not going to just have a playbook and keep executing that playbook over and over again. I really believe that you have to do the unexpected. So, you know, it's kind of funny, like anytime someone comes to us and they're like, hey, you know, we're working with all of these brands, and here's what they did. I'm like, I don't care. Like, we need to be original. We need to have a very unique point of view, and you have to look, you know, even beyond your category and to what creators are doing. Like, that's where we can get so much inspiration to be trailblazers and be disruptors.
I could tell you that with all the events that I attend, you guys are a brand that everybody does admire. So, excuse me.
Thank you. And it's good to work for a brand people love.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, I think I have one more question. If you were to advise someone else as they start dipping into Web3, what KPIs would you tell them to track or measure?
I mean, I would start with wanting to engage the community and not make it about a specific planned outcome. You want to build a campaign that has, you know, your own KPIs of what you want to achieve, and set it up for success. Because when you get to the success, you're going to keep doing more things, right? Like, if you have too many things that don't work in a row, you might lose trust. So I'm always thinking about, how do I build trust with our community, and how do I build trust with our executive team, our cross-functional partners? You know, we're putting a lot of resources into building the Roblox experience, so I want an outcome that's going to make the organization feel really good to keep going, and that's going to be, you know, very different depending, you know, what your category is. For us, we've been able to prove sales the days that we've launched these campaigns by pulling in our coupon codes that we can measure. We've been able to look at total gameplays, our time spent with the brand, like that people are spending over 10 minutes with Chipotle. That's huge, and we've tried to approach leaning into places where we can have the scale. You know, as much as I love experimenting, if we can get the scale and we can get the results, then we can keep experimenting. So we've really leaned towards outcomes that are going to energize all of our stakeholders to just keep going down the path.
I love it. Thank you. Well, with that said, I think we're going to wrap it up and see if there's any questions from the audience.
Yeah. Thank you. Hello?
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, first of all, Tressie, hey. Pat O'Keefe from Elf Beauty.
Hi.
Yes, it's been a long time. We've connected on Zoom, but never in IRL, so it's
good
great
to
to
see
see
you.
you. Yeah, my question for you is, as you're thinking about Roblox and the future of your long-term strategy, how are you going to monetize the channel, or are you thinking about monetizing it?
Yeah, it's definitely something we've looked at. We've actually have generated revenue within Roblox, but we have donated the funds so far back to support farmers. So it's something that we're thinking about all the time. I think there's definitely, I mean, and we're seeing this in fashion in particular, right? Like huge revenue opportunities within the platform. So it's not something I'm going to share too much around, but I would say everybody should be looking at it, right? Because the way that people want to build their virtual world is as important, if not more important to people, as the physical world. And so, you know, we were talking on our panel earlier, like you can be whoever you want to be in the metaverse, and I do think that the sales generating opportunities are definitely there for the taking.
Making you run the circuit there. Hi, Tressie. I'm Noah Mallon with Imagine. We're a Warner Music company that helps to market the Gen Z. You move exceptionally fast for a brand and are willing to take a lot of risks that for other brands feel, like a step further than they're willing to go. How much internal work do you have to do, and did you have to do, to set up an atmosphere where you're empowered to do the things that you're able to do the way that you do them?
Yeah, I mean, definitely was a mindset shift within the organization to start moving at this speed. First off, it was just empowering the team. Like you'd be in a meeting and someone would say, I have this really cool idea. It's trending right now. I think we're going to launch it 2 months from now. Like, why are we launching it right now? Like, let's go. So just giving people their permission was the first step, and letting people feel comfortable and safe in an environment where they know that it's safe to try things, right? So that leadership-driven mentality that it's expected to experiment. This is a good thing for the business, and we need everybody having that mindset. But it's also building the cross-functional team. Legal is the unsung hero of Chipotle. Like, we have legal partners who are trying to get to a yes, and they really help us to knock down barriers. So I do think whether you have internal counsel or external partners, finding that right legal person or team is really, really important. And creating the channels of communication to text our CEO, text our CMO, like, hey, here's what we're doing. Because this stuff is moving real time. Like the corn kid example, that was a 24-hour turn. I hadn't even seen the corn kid trend yet before I'm getting, the update that's like, here's what we're going to do. And then it's very easy for us because we've built the approval process to get a very quick response from people to move forward. And, obviously, I think the pandemic move to fully remote enabled our teams to be in that communication loop where we're able to move fast. We also have an agency partner that has people on the ground in different markets. So if we need to get content, like the Corn Kid example, he was in New York. We have a team in New York who was able to capture that content. But a lot of it, underlying all of that is trust. And if people trust you to do a good job and to, treat the brand right, then you're going to get that leeway. So I start typically with smaller bets where you can start to make people feel comfortable. And then when something like Roblox comes along, which does take a bigger investment, bigger timeline, and bigger cross-functional support, we have that trust of people who want to be a part of it and want to try it. And not only, they're not resistant because they're excited about it. Like, oh, I want to be a part of this, So I just try and be a big cheerleader. I'm the biggest cheerleader for digital, and just getting everybody to be pumped, to lean towards a yes and not towards a no. I mean, behind the scenes, I'm doing a lot of the no's to help those, bigger ideas flourish. And I've also found that by doing that, you attract talent that want to be a part of that, right? So the people working at our agency partners, our internal teams, they want to be a part of driving that future. So it all works together, but it's a process. It definitely doesn't happen overnight, and I do really strongly believe you need the leadership buy-in to be able to make it happen.
I love it. And with that, we're going to wrap it up.